Hi, it's Lisa Cuneo, and welcome to my scrapbook table. This layout is for Scraplift Crafternoon, where a group of us take a layout and scraplift it, either all of it or parts of it, and share what we came up with. And I'm also using some paper from my 100 pattern paper challenge, which I thought I would be farther along this year than I am. I think I've only used 5 papers from my stack, but 5 is better than 0. So here is the layout that we scrap lifted. It is by Wendy Egan, and I love the triangles. I don't work with them very often, but they really appeal to the math teacher in me, and so I had a lot of fun creating this. I'm using an old We Are Memory Keepers kit that I believe I bought at Tuesday morning. I almost said Tuesday afternoon. And I also have some old Simple Stories zoo things here. This picture was taken of my husband and me and our son and his sweet wife when we were in Memphis last May. I end up not using any of those stickers, which mainly is because I forgot about them. So I started out thinking I was going to use a bigger triangle than I did, and so this is actually like the 3rd triangle I'm making. And so I made this about an 11-inch square. I am finding the center of the top and then just drawing down to each vertex. I think the triangles on Wendy's layout were equilateral triangles. Mine are not. Mine are isosceles, which means they have 2 sides that are the same and the 3rd is different. You didn't know you were going to get a little math lesson there, but there you go. And so one of mine is about 11 inches at the base, one about 9, and one about 7.5. So there we go. And then I got to looking at the sketch a little more closely, and I pulled in this title, which is from the Simple Stories collection that I have. When I'm not going to buy a whole collection, but I want a nice variety, I tend to buy some stickers and a 6x8 paper pad. And I noticed in her sketch that each of her triangles has like an extra band of different paper along the bottom. And I decided I really wanted that. So I cut out most of it, but I took some patterns, and right here it's crooked, but I do fix that later. And put a little bit of a different pattern on the bottom of each triangle. And I don't care that that one doesn't match up because it's going to hang off the edge and be trimmed anyway. And then I inked the edges with VersaFine Morning Mist. I decided I was going to do a white background with a black frame. And there we go. I have this 4x6 that was in my scrap drawers, so I pulled that out just to create a little bit of a white lighter matte. It's not exactly white, it has some texture in it. And then I use the part that I gutted from the black frame and made a second matte around that. And there we go. So I have the triangles glued down, and I'm thinking about where I want the title, mainly if that's the only title or if I'm going to add something else. I add the koala and the camera. Oddly enough, neither of those end up on the final layout. So I'm looking through the Simple Stories. I found these 4x6 cards, and then I remembered there was another page of these, and I think they're already cut out somewhere. So I found those. There we go. And I'm going to use this one that says Life's a Zoo. It ends up there on the left, pretty much where you see it now. And I use this zebra one too, but I trimmed the zebra out. My photo is almost a full 4x6, so I don't have quite as much space as Wendy did. Her photo, I think, is a little... well, it might not be smaller, but she was able to overlap some of the space in the photo, and I don't have much of that. So I took about 1/4 of an inch off the length and width of the 4x6 3 card, and I trimmed this one down to just be the zebra. So that buys me a little space. And the zebra is going to go on the right. There's actually a buffalo on the right side of hers. I inked it up just a little bit where I could. Some of the places I couldn't get into very well, but I don't think in the end that you can really see that much. So he's going to sit there. I wanted to get that koala on there, but it just wasn't working. I thought of putting the hat on the zebra, but I didn't. Okay, so now I went through my bins, pulled out some green items, and I also used some black cardstock that's actually a double layer of black, and cut out some letters to spell out Memphis Zoo. And I had decided to use that 3x4 card you see on the right for my journaling, but that changes because I messed up my journaling. It turned out fine. I do like the one that's there now better than what I ended up with, but it's okay. So I knew I was kind of working up from the bottom because I knew where I wanted Memphis Zoo to go, and then above that the Stay Wild chipboard sticker, and then our photo. I tucked that in. I fiddled with it for a while. I end up trimming some of it off so that it'll tuck in a little bit better. So there's my zebra. Pardon me. And then I thought, I'm not going to glue that down quite yet. So I added Life's a Zoo. And then I had some leaves. Sarah Davies, who is here on YouTube, she has been inspiring me lately to use up little bits of things that I have and to add them to layouts. She is a master at that. I am not. But she has really inspired me to try to make that happen, at least on some of my layouts. So I went through a couple of my bins and pulled out some random green leaves that were left over from other projects. You can see a little circle there with a star on it. That ends up on here. And that little banner with a camera that says, "Say cheese." Then I have these 3 little sprigs of grass. So they seemed kind of flat. So I just took the sponge from my, I believe it's Rustic Wilderness Distress Oxide, and added a little bit of shading to them and layered them at the feet of the zebra. And I like what that added. The others are just random leaf things cut from several different dies that I have. And I pulled out, first at the top left there, you can see some enamel dots. And then I remembered I had these, I mean, they look like brads, but they're not brads because they don't have the little prong thingies that you like poke a hole and stick them through and split them in half. They just have some foam adhesive. And they are actually from the Simple Stories Zoo collection, so they coordinate with some of this stuff. So I actually, in the end, I thought I was only going to use the Simple Stories ones, but I mixed in some of the plain enamel dots as well. And now I have this little stamp. It's just a little line of dots, basically. It's from a Stampin' Up set. It's old, but I have never used it. And I'm either going to change that or I'm going to give it away. So I decided, let's add just a little bit of stamping along some of the slanted lines of the triangles to add a little bit of visual interest. And I did that with, I'm sorry, excuse me. I did that with Morning Mist ink. I also had this label. It said Saturday on it, and actually this was a Saturday, but I had a lot of words going on here anyway. So I just cut it in half and tucked it. I put some beneath the zebra and some to the right, the left of our family photo. And now is where I'm deciding where I'm going to put these. One of them, after I had it glued down, I realized the foam adhesive that was on it, underneath it, is like off center. So I might have to pull that off and try to fix it later. And now is where I decided to go ahead and add some of the plain old enamel dots as well, because they fit the color scheme better than any of the like brad things that were left. And then I dropped one right on my photo, and I thought, oh great. I thought I was going to have to reprint the photo, but it ended up, I was able to coax it off of there without ripping my photo or marking it up. And then I realized, oh, the hat is not glued down. So I fixed that. We're coming up to the still shots here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Wendy, thank you for the wonderful inspiration. I love your layout. Thank you for letting us scrap lift you. If you're new to my channel, I have some new subscribers since I had my 500 subscriber celebration. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate everyone who watches and likes and takes time to comment. I hope that you get to scrapbook something in your scrap room very soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.